coming in, but I think we should go ahead and get started. It's about 17 after. Question I have for both of you, so I know what to deliver today, is how much do you know about these practices? So when we say relaxation or mindfulness or breath work or mind-body interventions, are these relatively new to both of you, or do you have any experience with them?
It's new to me.
Okay, all right. I have a slide deck that I put together, not specifically for today, but I do these presentations a lot where I'm explaining what these practices are. Wanted to show you just a couple of the slides that might help you understand what we're trying to do. There's two ways. Let me just see which slide deck I have here. And there are two main schools. Sometimes I think it's helpful to understand where these practices came from. So one school is Dr. Benson, and that's where I'm trained. Dr. Benson was a cardiologist in the 60s, and he proposed that the mind actually influenced the body. And that was really medical heresy back then. He noticed that when his patients came into the clinic, that their blood pressure was higher than what they self-reported from their home readings. And that was kind of widely accepted. So he got frustrated because he didn't want to accept it. So he went back to Harvard Medical School and began to study. And what he found is that we have, in fact, a connection between our mind and our body. And oftentimes we're under the stress response and we're not aware. But there's also something he found, which is called the relaxation response. And it's the complete opposite of the stress response. And that is something that we can learn to elicit on our own. And there's many health benefits, but also well-being benefits. We just typically feel better. We can all think of those moments when we feel relaxed, or we just feel at ease or composed. And he found a system to elicit that response, that we can do that every day. And the benefits are numerous. And it does counter the effects of kind of everyday chronic stress. That's one school. And that's where I'm trained. The other school is the Mindfulness School, and that's John Kabat-Zinn. He was practicing just down the corridor in Massachusetts. So one was at UMass and the other one was at Mass General. And they were both practicing in the 60s, and he founded mindfulness, or what we know today as mindfulness. And again, depending on which practice you're looking at, the language may be slightly nuanced between them, but essentially we're using the power of our own mind to calm the nervous system. What are we trying to do is we're trying to stop the everyday train of thought. So I don't know if you've ever experienced how your mind can race. Yeah, okay, yeah. But the mind can also go backwards, right? So it can also ruminate about the past. And that's just what I wanted to show you, is just two slides that help you understand what we are trying to do with these practices. So I'm going to try to screen share. I usually have somebody that does this with me. Let's see. I think I'm going to be, oh, good. I did it successfully, but I don't know if I'll be able to. Oh, and I can even move it. Okay. So here, I'll start with the question here. So if part of these practices is to focus our mind, all of them have it. I don't care which one you pick, whether it's, all these mind, when I say what we're trying to do with practice, there's this whole umbrella of mind-body interventions, relaxation, breath work, yoga, mindfulness. They kind of all fall under that umbrella. And we're training to practice our mind into the present moment. And so the question then is, so if that's what we're trying to do, what are we typically doing in the present moment? Here's what the mind typically does. We're planning, organizing, ruminating, rehearsing, daydreaming, and you know this from your own mind, and some of us have stronger tendencies in one of those categories or another, but we literally have tens of thousands of thoughts per day. Tens. It's actually like 40 to 60,000 thoughts per day. And I have a teacher that says, don't always believe what you think, because it's really affecting your body and the way you feel. So we also wake up every day with a certain amount of attention, right? So this is an attention wheel that I created for myself. I spend some time caring for my family, and you could begin to feel this in yourself. Like most of us are spending some time on news and social media. You could probably even parse that down further. I spend some time in food prep. My Netflix pie is not that big. My daughter helped me create this. I spend some time doing chores or errands, but you're getting the idea is that I wake up every day and we all have kind of a capacity, if you will, for our attention. Within that, and thinking about that the mind can think about the past, it can ruminate, it can plan and rehearse, our mind also is moving along this railroad track. It's either moving to the past or to the future. It is most of our time, very little of it anyway, is spent right here in the present moment. And the idea with all these practices is to bring your attention to the present moment. And that helps calm the nervous system. It's when we start worrying about the future or perseverating or thinking too much about the past, that can really trigger the stress response in the body. And what we know through all these practices is that attending to the present moment has health benefits. So that's what we're trying to do with these practices. Let me see if there's anything else here that would be of benefit. No. Okay, I'm going to stop the screen share here.
I think did you just say about living in the present? Is that what when you were talking past, future, is that what you just said?
Yeah, living in the present moment. Yeah, is kind of what we're trying to do. So often our mind takes us to what happened an hour ago or what happened last week or what happened a year ago, and we ruminate about that. And that actually causes the stress response. Just thinking about an argument, for example, your body doesn't know the difference between the moment you had that argument and when you're reliving it in your own mind. So you have this cascade of stress hormones that move through the body. And so same thing can happen for the future when we're thinking about or we're worrying. A lot of us, we can spend some time planning for the future, and that can be exciting. But what we know from studies is that a lot of us are worrying about the future. And that, again, causes that cascade of chemicals. So emotions really drive your physiology. And so in the present moment, when you're paying attention to your breath, for example, there isn't much to worry about. It's just an anchor. It holds your mind in place. So it's one way to really soften your mind around. It gives you some space from whatever problem you have. And oftentimes we know that you bring your mind to the present moment, and it's at that moment that you find the solution to the problem you had, right? This is the old proverbial, go take a walk, take a shower, and all of a sudden you have the answer. You stop worrying about it. And we actually fire up different networks of the brain. So, we all could benefit from higher level thinking. And that happens literally if you put your hand across your forehead, in the front part of the brain. The back part of the brain is more the reptilian part of the brain. That's where we really react with our emotions. And when we can come to the present moment, just even for a few breaths, it gives us a shot at firing up different networks in the brain that can help us find better solutions, typically. That was a lot, though, in just a couple of minutes. Do you have did I say anything that you need some clarification on? Or
just when you were saying, now this what you're doing is mindfulness as opposed to relaxation, or they're really both the same?
So it's a great question. And I asked that so I had the opportunity to work with, for just 1 hour, the director at the Benson Henry Institute for Mind Body Medicine at Mass General, where I'm trained. And I asked that question because these two schools, and again, they're down the corridor from each other. It's not necessarily that they're competitors, but they have their own, I call it their own main stage. So mindfulness is not trying to do anything in particular. But if you study the research, what typically happens is that you elicit the relaxation response. Now, when you're working with Dr. Benson and you're doing a relaxation, you're actually trying to relax. Like I'm going to give you some cues. I mean, you're going to try to let go of tension. You'll try to soften your body. And because we know it's stored tension in the body, actually, there's stored tension in the mind, so we can use the body to get to the mind. In mindfulness, it's a little bit different. You're really just being present and aware of that tension. So if you're not trying to do anything about it, but from the mindfulness school, just being aware of it, sometimes it begins to soften. So once
I'm sorry, which one are you doing today? What are we doing?
Yeah, today I will guide you through a relaxation.
Relaxation.
So yeah, I'll just guide you through a full relaxation. A lot of times we start any practice. I want to get clear here though, in case you're listening to any of these on your own. A lot of them, no matter what school you're looking at, starts with mindful breathing. It's just paying attention to your own breath for a little bit before you begin. It doesn't matter what school you're looking at or what practice, you're going to start with just paying attention to your breath. The breath really is a gateway between the body and the mind. And again, you can't experience a past breath and you can't experience a future breath. So the breath is one way, and that's why it's used by all the different practices, is to really anchor yourself here in the present moment. Those are great questions. So today we will experience just a what we would call a systematic relaxation through the body. They take about 15 minutes. You can do it seated or you can lie down. It's your choice. So lying down is nice because the body is fully supported. You just listen to me. You don't have to do anything or change anything. If you're seated, you just want to make sure that your legs are uncrossed and your hands are resting comfortably. You can close your eyes or not. It's up to you. And I will get started but if you want to take a reclining position, if that's available to you, you can. You don't have to. Sometimes it's.
How are you doing? Like you are there?
Fine. You can, yeah, I'm fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if I'm like just on a sofa with my feet up on the
Yeah.
ottoman, is a good space.
Absolutely. Just make sure that your head and your neck are comfortable. Your arms are down by your sides. And if that's uncomfortable for your shoulders with your arms down by your sides, you can always place your hands like right on the belly. Sometimes that feels supportive. And you can do something in between, fully sitting up and fully reclining. It's up to you. The nice thing about getting supported is that when the body is comfortable, your mind can move more freely through the body. Whereas when we're sitting up and if you have tension through a low back or a knee or a hip, that tends to be where the mind will go to. So, but you can go ahead and close your eyes. And just let your body settle into the support that's beneath you. And for the next couple of moments, pay attention to your back body. And let your back body settle down into the support. So with the support here, you feel like the support is completely holding you, and you can let go of holding the body in place. You can let the front body soften, so let the face and the eyes. Let the chest, the torso, the legs, let it all soften down into the support. And just be present with whatever is within your awareness at this moment in your body. So you don't have to change anything. Just notice, cultivating the ability to observe ourselves. And then turn your attention to notice your body breathing. So as you breathe in, your lungs fill, your body expands. And just notice that. And as you breathe out, your lungs empty. And just notice the body sink back. You can let go of any urgency around breathing or let go of any need to change the breath in any way. You just soften your body around the breath so that it can flow smoothly and easily. And then bring your attention up to the crown of your head, to the very top of the head. All your attention and awareness moves to the top of the head. And then begin to soften downward. So let your attention move down into the forehead and the eyes. And you may notice that from time to time your mind wanders off and begins to think again. It's at that moment that you come back to your body and to your breathing. And then move down into the face and soften outward to the sides of the head and downward to the ears and the jaw, the mouth, and then see if you can draw your attention inward into the inner space of the head. And then soften the eyes again, the inner edges of the nose. Soften the tongue all the way back to the root of the tongue. And then back to the base of the head. So the skull meets the base of the neck. And you draw down through the neck. And your attention moves to the front of the throat, the front of the neck. And you soften there and see if you can allow the throat to drop back. And move downward to the shoulders, to the shoulder joints. And your attention moves down through the upper arms, down through the elbows, through the lower arms. You can relax all sides of the wrist. Draw your attention into the palm of the hand and sense the roots of the thumbs for a moment. And then the roots of the 8 fingers. And draw your attention then into the thumb tips and fingertips. And while you hold your attention at the thumb tips and fingertips, see if you can also be aware of breathing. And then move upwards through the hand. So your attention moves through the palm of the hand into the wrist and through the axis of both arms into the shoulder joints. And then on the back side of the body, you can soften the upper back and around the shoulder blades. And on the front, you can soften the muscles of the chest. Muscles along the collarbones and then down through the sternum. And then draw your attention into the core of the chest. And in the core of the chest is the physical heart and the upper lobes of the lungs. And see if you can soften, relaxing around the physical heart. And drawing down into, on the back side of the body, the back ribs. This can also be a place of holding. Back ribs soft into your support, side ribs, and the front ribs. The abdomen softens. Let's see if you can notice the movement of breathing here. Then draw your attention into the core of the abdomen. It is possible to soften here around all the organs inside the abdomen. And then move downward and soften the hips, the low back, down through the outer hip, the outer upper leg, the front of the leg, the back of the leg, the inner thigh, down through the knee, to the front of the knee, the sides, the back of the knee, it all softens. Downward through the lower leg, to the ankle, the top of the foot, the bottom of the foot, and the foot meets the roots of all 10 toes. You move your awareness through the toe joints into the toe tips. You hold your awareness at the toe tips, but be aware of the body breathing. The attention is in the toe tips. You're just present with the movement of breathing. And then draw upwards through the feet, the ankles, through the lower leg, knees, upper legs, and hips. And then move inward and upward into the abdomen, upward into the heart center. And then upwards into the throat center, that space at the hollow of the throat. And then upwards into that space that's right behind the eyebrows, the core of the head. And then upwards to the crown of the head where you began. And you hold your attention there, and again, be aware of breathing. Be aware of the inner ease that you've cultivated in resting the body in stillness and paying attention to your body and to your breath in the present moment. And maybe set an intention to carry this sense of relaxation into your day so that you approach your day with a relaxed response. And then when you're ready, you'll draw your attention into your hands and your feet and bring some movement into your fingers and toes. Take a slightly deeper breath. This just helps you kind of enliven here. Again, before you move, become aware of the inner sense of ease, your inner awareness, the relaxed state. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes, make your way back up to just a seated position so that it takes a little while for the body to kind of reacclimate coming out of a relaxation.